Hello YouTube, today I'll be showing you my Red Dragon Archfiend Shining Sarcophagus deck profile for post Infinite Forbidden. I think there's a lot of synergy between these two different themes. I think it's definitely the best way to play Shining Sarcophagus, at least from my testing so far. So it's a new take on the deck and I'll jump right into it. So first of all, for the Red Dragon Archfiend monsters, we have the 3 Crimson Resonator, 2 Vision Resonator, and 1 Soul Resonator. So these ratios are pretty unusual compared to like a regular Red Dragon Archfiend deck profile. So we only have 1 Soul Resonator because this is typically what we want to search from our deck off Crimson Resonator's effect. Of course, we could still search this off Crimson Gaia, for example, to get our 1-card combo for the Red Dragon Archfiend part of the deck. And then we have 2 Vision Resonator, which is a very useful extender. We can use this in combination with things like Andorra to make our Disparter. And Crimson Resonator is the best starter in this deck. It pairs really well with Gadget Trio, as well as any way to search it, such as our Future Silence and Shining Sarcophagus. So moving on for consistency, we have our 3 Stone Sweeper and our 3 Resonator Core, which can of course search any of these guys. So our starter or our extender, or even the 1-card combo if we didn't open anything to pair with it. And then we have our 2 Crimson Gaia to search off either of these guys, so for whatever purpose you need. And then we have 2 Bone Archfiend because it's not a terrible draw. You can dump a Vision Resonator to get access to Crimson Gaia to search the Vision Resonator. Yeah, and this is typically what you're searching off Soul Resonator in a typical line. And then moving on, for our Shining Sarcophagus part of the deck, we have 2 Gadget Trio. I was testing 3, but then this would typically get drawn too much and it's a bit of a dead draw if you draw more than 1. And then we have 3 Shining Sarcophagus, 3 Future Silence because it's a rotor for whatever we're missing. And then for the Garnety parts of this engine, we have the Silent Magician 0. We're always wanting to summon this off Gandorra. Our Turn Silence, which is if we open any 2 of these pieces, then we can then search this to instantly our combo or contribute to our end board by making a monster effect negate. And also I use this to stop a Tenpai attack when it's in graveyard, which is very useful unless they have the level 10 one that stops you activating effects in battle phase. And of course the 1 Gandorra. I don't play any more than 1 because I find that it's bricky and it's very searchable, and we're not typically resolving this after our first turn again. So that is that part of the engine. We then have for our consistency pieces just 3 Prosperity, grab whatever we want. And then non-engine, we have 3 Forbidden Droplet. This is really handy in this format, but also in this deck we get to dodge different targeting effects. Like if our Red Rising Dragon is picked apart, then we can use a Forbidden Droplet, or to take our body off field and then dodge the effect negation, or use our Gadget Trio to dodge. Or even if our opponent's getting greedy, they might want to imperm our Gandorra in response to it instead of on its summon, and then we can use this to take the body off field, still blow up the field, go in second. And then 3 Econ for similar reasons too. You could try a Book of Eclipse though, because it's also good at dodging card effects turn 1 when you're going first. 3 Imperm because it doesn't play into talents, and this is a board breaker variant deck, so we can often use this as a board breaker to pair with something else too. And then we have 2 talents because we're often getting hand trapped, and then it's not a big deal if we get hand trapped as long as it's only 1 hand trap, and then we rip the other one or whatever starter they have. And finally a Cool Buy because it's really good when you're not in a Snake Eye Mirror, in my opinion. Moving on to extra deck, we have our nice ulti Red Nova Dragon. This hardly comes up, but it's decent for outing towers if you want to make a big dude to attack over. And our Red Supernova Dragon, which if we have an absurdly good hand, we could make turn 1 going first, banish your opponent's board. We have a Hot Dragon Archfiend Bane. I often send this off Prosperity, doesn't come up too often. This part which is very incredible for the deck. This will come up in a lot of combo lines because Gandorra can banish cards, and then this can summon them back by synchroing off a level 2 tuner and Gandorra. We then have 2 Abyss. We often banish 1 off Prospy, but of course it's one of the best interruptions in the deck. We have 1 Void Ogre Dragon, which we can actually use very effectively in this deck because we're not playing hand traps. we can instead set our board breakers to interrupt the opponent. So our econs, our droplets, our imperms, and then this spell trap card negation is live. We have 2 Scarred, banish 1 of Prosby when you use it, 1 RDA, 1 Scarlight, which doesn't come up too often, but it can burn in time. A 1 Quibelt if we get to an awkward level 7 play, such as Bone Archfiend, Dump a Vision, grab Crimson Gaia to make the Bone Archfiend level 5. We then can summon the Crimson Gaia, can add another Vision, and then we can use this to pop a card. And the most important card in the extra deck, we have 3 Red Rising Dragon, which will be our first synchro most of our plays. And then the side deck, which is mostly thrown together for this event. We have our Bestial package. We have 1 Magnum Hut and 2 Druid's Worm. So if matchups like Voice's Voice or any light or dark theme, a bunch came out in Infinite Forbidden, like Gimmick Puppet and Whitewoods. We have our Duster and Frost package, 2 Frost and Duster, and 3 Dark Rule No More, which will be very good coming into this format as a board breaker. 3D Barrier. This will probably get cut because most of the decks right now play Links. And then finally 3 Cosmic, which I just like in any extra deck, and this is the Alchemist picked up at locals. Okay, and we're going to move on to the combo portion of the video. So for our first combo, we have what happens when you open Crimson Resonator with our Gadget Trio. We play 9 ways to get to this and 8 ways to get to this. So it's pretty consistent, and we got a Prosperity on top of it to try and get to this combo. So first we activate Crimson Resonator, controlling monsters, so we summon it. And then we normal summon our Gadget Trio. Use the effect of Gadget Trio to search out our Shining Sarcophagus. Activate Shining Sarcophagus. We get to add Gandora here. Now what we can do is synchro these 2 into Red Rising Dragon. Red Rising in our EMZ. We'll summon back our Crimson Resonator. Now Crimson Resonator will be able to summon out from deck both our Soul Resonator and our Vision Resonator. Soul Resonator will then activate to add our Bone Archfiend from deck to hand. And then what I like to do is straight away synchro off these 2. Soul with Red Rising into our Abyss. That way, if for some reason our opponent hasn't impermed us already, we can use this to negate imperm. Then what we can do is activate Gandora to summon itself. Synchro off with one of our level 2 tuners to make this parter. We can then trigger Vision Resonator, since it was sent to grave, to add Crimson Gaia from deck to hand, and then straight away activate Crimson Gaia, and we can add back our Vision Resonator. I like to keep a Vision Resonator in deck though, so if we can add from grave, I like to do it. Then we can activate Bone Archfiend, summon itself, pitching another random card from hand. What we want to do here is make sure we deplete our hand, because we're going to plan to summon Void Ogre Dragon, and so we need 0 cards in hand for that to happen. So we can either pitch this Vision Resonator as a free discard, or because it's not really required. But for now we can use this as an extra body. So summon Vision Resonator. Then we can synchro these 2 into Red Rising, which of course isn't a hard once per turn. We can use it to revive our Crimson Resonator again. And now we can use these 2 to make our Void Ogre Dragon. So what this game board gets us is our Abyss, which will negate any card in the field, our Disparter, which as soon as our opponent banishes a card, we can negate its monster effect. We also have Void Ogre Dragon, which can negate a spell trap card interruption. And we have Shining Sarcophagus. If we have a spell in hand, we can send it to send a monster special summon from graveyard to the graveyard again. And we've got a Vision Resonator to float into another Crimson Gaia if our opponent starts breaking our board. So what I'd like to show you next is actually what happens when our opponent hand traps us when we open these two cards. So we can go down one of two different lines depending on what they like to hit. So first, like last time, we'll summon the Crimson Resonator by its own effect. We'll then normal summon our Gadget Trio. We will attempt to activate the effect of Gadget Trio. In this case, we'll say that our opponent likes to imperm this. Then that's absolutely fine. We can still continue with our Red Dragon Archfiend combos. So we'll synchro these two into Red Rising Dragon. Red Rising will then bring back the Crimson Resonator. And then we will activate Crimson Resonator, summon out our two Resonators from deck, Soul and Vision. Soul will then activate to add our Bone Archfiend from deck to hand. And we will straight away make these two into Abyss to insulate from Imperm, or even the new Dominus Purge that's come out. We can then pitch a random card, summon Bone Archfiend from hand, and then we can synchro these two into our Red Rising Dragon, Chainlink 1 Red Rising, Chainlink 2 Vision Resonator, add our Crimson Gaia, summon back Vision Resonator, we can activate the Crimson Gaia, use it to search our second copy of Vision Resonator, and then summon the Vision Resonator by its own effect. So we haven't done that so far. And from here, I think the best course of action is to make a big red Supernova Dragon. So right here, we've got hand traps, but we still have two solid interruptions. We have a red Supernova Dragon. Whenever our opponent activates a monster effect or attacks, we can banish their entire field. And we have our best interruption, which is Abyss. Our Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss can negate any face-up card in the field, be it monster, spell, or trap. So even though we've got a hand trap, we basically hand loop to our opponent for one, because we've still gotten the same number of interruptions. Instead of Void Ogre, Disparter, Abyss, we got these two. Now let's say our opponent's a bit smarter, and they know that there's a lot of power behind resolving Crimson Resonator, summoning two from deck. So what will happen if first of all we special summon our Crimson Resonator by its own effect, normal summon Gadget Trio, this will be let through to add our Shining Sarcophagus. We then synchro these two into Red Rising Dragon. Red Rising will attempt to bring back a Crimson Resonator, and our opponent will either imperm this or then imperm the Crimson Resonator once it activates its effect on the field. So let's say at this point they're being safe, they want to Ash or imperm this. Then what we can do is use our Shining Sarcophagus to search a monster, spell, or trap that mentions Shining Sarc. We will add our Gandora to hand. Then we can special summon our Gandora, use its effect to blow up the field, and banish everything. And here we will then be able to grab our Silent Magician 0, which is a spell card negate by itself. And then we have the Gandora body here. So if we open Resonator, call our Stone Sweeper, or any way to get to Vision Resonator, such as Crimson Gaia, we can then use Vision Resonator to summon itself, and then synchro these two into our Disparter. And this is really great because we have banish cards to use with Disparter, and Vision Resonator will add our Crimson Gaia for follow-up. And here we have two interruptions again. We have monster effect destroy, or our opponent starts banishing cards, or even if we were going second and we use Gandora to blow up their field, then we can get a monster effect negate with this and summon back some guys. We then also have Silent Magician 0 as a spell card negate that has been pumped up to 2k and then 2,500 on the opponent's turn, so it's kind of hard to beat over. And so yeah, we've gotten two solid interruptions again, even though we've been hand trapped at a crucial point in the RDA combo. So this deck's quite resistant to one hand trap, and if we open a 3-card combo, we can even resist 2 hand traps. And for the last combo I'll be showing you guys today, it will be what happens when we have a 3-card combo. So here we have Crimson Resonator and 2 Shining Sarcophagus pieces. So this can be anything you mix and match. So any two different pieces, such as Gadget Trio, Future Silence, Turn Silence, Gandora, or even Shining Sarcophagus, these can all make these kinds of combos if you just open two of these pieces along with our Crimson Resonator. So our Crimson Resonator will summon itself first of all, and then we'll normal summon our Gadget Trio. Gadget Trio will add our Shining Sarcophagus from deck to hand, and then we can use our Shining Sarcophagus to search for our next piece, which will be Turn Silence. These two in hand. We'll then go for our Red Dragon Archfiend combos, because we require no other monsters on our field to use with Crimson Resonator. So we'll go Red Rising, summon back our Crimson Resonator. Crimson Resonator will then summon from deck our Vision Resonator and our Soul Resonator. Soul Resonator will then add our Bone Archfiend. And then we will go for our usual play of making these two into Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss. Future Silence. Can then grab our Gandora from deck to hand. And our Bone Archfiend can pitch a random card to summon itself. We'll then do a similar play to what we did last time. In fact, here I'd like to, as soon as possible, summon our Gandora out. That way we're protected from Nibiru using Turn Silence. And then throughout the combo we can kind of get a read on whether they have Nibiru or not, so that we know whether to set this before we end our main phase. So watch out for that. So let's synchro these two off into Red Rising Dragon, Red Rising, Chainlink 1, Vision Resonator, Chainlink 2. So we'll of course bring back our Vision Resonator, and we will go ahead and search for Crimson Gaia. Crimson Gaia can then grab our second Vision Resonator, and we can summon our Vision Resonator right here, and we can go for our big red Supernova Dragon using all these materials, and then we can decide if we want to set the Turn Silence or not. So here we have our Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss negate. We have our Supernova to banish the opponent's board whenever they activate a monster effect that we don't like. We then also have our Gandora, and then we can choose to set the Turn Silence. So if we set the Turn Silence, we can negate a monster effect on the opponent's turn. And we also have follow-up with our Crimson Gaia and our Shining Sarcophagus. And we can even stop our opponent from Tempire OT Chaos because of Turn Silence. So this is what a 3-card combo can achieve, but of course this can also play for 2 hand traps. Just based on what I showed you before with the 2-card combo, you can use the same principles to try and figure out the combo lines as you go. So that's it for my Red Dragon Archfiend Shining Sarcophagus deck profile and combos. I hope you enjoyed watching, and I hope you enjoy giving this deck a go and figuring out the best lines for yourself. So one of the best lines I find is using Gandora, blow up the board, summoning Silent Magician, and then of course using Vision Resonator as an extender to make Disparter. I even revived an opponent's DPE and started punching them with it because of banishing off Gandora. Of course it was negated by Turn Silence, and then Disparter being able to bring it back and blew the opponent with it. It's very fun. Yeah, let me know in the comments if you have any questions about the deck and how it functions, and please do give me any suggestions that you think of as well. Alright, thank you, bye bye.